Hey there guys, right now we're going to take a look at BroKing. He's a ESEA pocket and he's playing on Gully Wash. Fast forward through the rollout a bit. You should take the bottle, there's no reason not to. On this, you never want to be jumping early on these mids. Even if you're looking to establish position, like both teams were mirrored, at that point, whoever gets aggressive from the high ground is probably going to win, so I expect these guys to win, especially since you're so close to the nipple. So if you were going to jump for position, you'd probably want to land towards the bottle or behind the crates. But in general, I'd probably play on the ground and look to jump them after you kind of get to their side. Yeah, and right now you're doing what you have to do and staying alive. You should probably be holding up in the last right now, just peeking that shower door or looking for main, but the shower door is a bit safer and more advantageous position. Yeah, and since you guys didn't lose anyone pushing or fighting mid, you can push into last pretty quickly. I don't know if they're mid-lived, but it doesn't look like it. You never want to be walking into this pyro. Since you saw him on the right, just go main and jump left or outside on a balcony, and when you're going balcony, just make sure you clear the sticks because it's pretty doable there. And you don't need to be getting healed up here because you're going to get Ubered anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then you never want to be pushing the same way as the stickies that you hear are getting set up there, so just a little bit of minor error there, but the pyro doesn't really air blast you, so you guys are probably going to take this last anyway. So yeah, again, just make sure you get this bottle. Slowing down doesn't really help a whole lot. You're just a bit slower. These guys are already up there, and this is where it's more appropriate to jump low. You can jump second. It's kind of the thing, if they're not mirroring you, you definitely want to jump second. So by them jumping early, you want to jump in a way that you're not going to get hit scanned out of the air. So just a little bit lower there, and you would have a much more successful mid. Now you're looking to jump these soldiers again, just to keep them out. If your team's going to do anything, it's because you pushed them back, not got a bunch of kills, so probably should have looked to do that a bit. In general, I don't know. I don't think your team had much of a plan there, because it seemed a couple people were getting caught out of position on the ground and a couple people were aggressing early to the top. And that doesn't really work out when you half and half like that, unless the people aggressing up top focus on living. So it's definitely good that you're taking the initiative and jumping at those mids, but you want to, if they're mirroring you, and your team's kind of playing on the ground and playing slow, and they're not going to take position early, you probably don't want to jump up there like you did the first mid, and just go beneath them on the left side, and then jump them from behind, and that way your team can kind of aggress as you're doing that, and one of those groups is going to get focused, but it'll be pretty easy for the other group to deal a lot of damage. And if they happen to be beating you to the side that you end up going eventually, and you're kind of slow on the ground, you probably want to do the same. For the most part there, I go drop down, especially if the demo's choke, just because I can do a bit of spam damage as I'm going underneath, just splashing the walls. And then even though they're completely aware that I'm going drop down, it's still a really easily defendable position. And if I'm going to meet anyone there immediately, it's likely that they're at low health because they're waiting on the pack. So right now, you can tell just from the way that's going, your roamer got spot out, and their medic's not really far, then that suicide's not going to go that well. So you might want to take the initiative and jump in while they're distracted with your roamer. And in this case, since you didn't actually get the medic, I'm pretty sure he lived from mid. So you guys want to hold lobby. It's really easy to hold this just from this position, and maybe your demo man holding a little bit forward from the shower door. he can stick the doors off and force them to go lower right or up top. And buying time is always crucial when you're disadvantaged, like right now. You don't want to peek this because even though I think there's only one person river, getting pushed like that right now would be pretty terrible because he'd probably kill you for free after you spammed all that ammo. So if you're going to peek that, take it a little bit wider, closer to the shutter door wall, so you can deal with anyone aggressing from stairs and save your ammo a bit. Since you're already winning, you don't really need to extend for those early kills. Yeah, pushing up top just to clear these people is a good idea, but again, you're taking this corner really tight, and that's pretty much a big mistake. If they happen to be spamming those rockets at the right time, you would have died instantly there, especially since you're only at like 160. And again, you don't want to be spamming this. Your goal here is just to make sure no one gets in while your team caps. So you don't really need to peek big door actively, because there's that, again, the potential of getting spammed out. And this is a good jump. Doesn't matter that they all jump you, they should all be dying without your team using, which is really good. But your med gets a little ahead of himself, so that's unfortunate. Basically, as soon as you got all that damage, just like tell your team that this is free and make sure to get those kills. People can go under to chase them if they end up backing up towards big door, and your demo can stick them off at choke, and you guys just need to worry about keeping your med up and killing them slowly, instead of taking it a little bit quick like that. So at this point, they have advantage. I'm not sure if their med ended up living when you guys are pushing out last, so I guess he didn't. But they still should have it right about now, so I would be holding at the base of these stairs, because obviously if you're entering lobby like this and they happen to be pushing, they're going to wreck you like they ended up doing. Doesn't really matter because they all wipe, but yeah, just a future thing. You knew they had advantage. I would have expected earlier because I didn't know that their med died, because I didn't really know what his name is, but apparently he died during the last push, so by using they're going to be pretty close, even with his respawn. Probably only would have had like 70 as you guys were pushing out last, so by the time he used towards the end of that middle fight, they were probably pretty close, so just keep that in mind. If they've been building a bit better, they may have been able to even defend second, because you died there, assuming they kind of played mid a bit better. So that guy wasted a lot of health early, the soldier jumping, so this kind of reinforces what I said earlier. If you can get underneath him, you're not using a whole lot of health, and if he happens to get forced off, he's an easy kill for you. And you can kind of do that every mid just by walking to the other side. Like, you'd be jumping from near your elbow onto them. If he stayed up, he'd be a pretty easy kill just from splashing other people. So this is kind of like a red light here where you just need to take advantage of going underneath. Or if you want to be up here, you probably want to jump on top of these crates or a little bit behind these boxes, just so you don't take that initial damage, because when they get positioned early, they have the luxury of spamming you out as you're walking up. And you can't afford to waste ammo on this scout. If you're firing at him, you have to hit him, because you're so low ammo right now that it's just gonna screw the rest of the mid for you. You could get jumped on and your entire team would be kind of defenseless, take a lot of damage, and that could cue a push from them. Or just in general, it'll kind of limit your ability to push forward. And from this position and elbow, there's no way he's going to be able to push into you, especially if you keep some rockets loaded. So I'd just be satisfied with letting him, or pushing him out of the mid fight. Like, yeah, you should have just stayed up. Now you should, yeah, play safe there, just so he can't get the kill, but your scout was playing well. You want to damage this rummer. So yeah, if you don't hit him there, then it's obvious he's coming here. So that was good. Or pocket out, maybe that was. At this point, you can probably sack in, because I think their meds just about spawned, and you can afford losing that extra soldier because you guys are capping 2 anyway, and it's going to take some time. And they obviously will be spawning kind of around the same time you are if you're sacking that. Fortunately, they're really close. A little early of an Uber, but this is slowing out pretty well. Yeah, you probably wanted to end that on high ground and just spam rockets into them. But it shouldn't matter that much if your team kind of plays a little bit passive. Doesn't all get on the point at the same time, which happened. So that's unfortunate. Your med's gonna go down here, so I wouldn't expect... Maybe he's not. I don't know why that scout didn't push him. Okay, so if you pick this guy up, you can defend second. Okay. Now reload, make sure you have 4 before you push out. Just so you're... Well, it also helps by being close to your medic, but... You know, you're not going to be able to aggress without 4 rockets. Or there's no really point in trying to aggress without 4. So they make a pretty big mistake. They keep trying to push 2 after you pick their scout and their roamer, so it's a little silly on their part. Whoops. Long half. Alright, so you want to be jumping this low. If you're going to jump at all, you might have even wanted to jump through elbow there. But because you saw that demo playing near their banana and the scout to the right, jumping high is just going to open up for them to air sticky you and kind of hit scan juggle you. So if you're not jumping into them, then I wouldn't jump up there at all. In general, you're not really affording your team any advantages by jumping in early. Like, they're not going to be able to follow up on anyway. Especially if the enemy team gets positioned like that. If your team's not already getting up there before their scouts get up there, you're really not going to be able to play off of getting there early with your soldiers. It's not going to work out. So just focus on counter jumping and playing from the ground. And if it's kind of stalemate and they're both teams are waiting on the enemy soldiers, just make sure you guys get up and get positioned slowly and don't get jumped in the process. So, and that just be ensuring that you have enough HP to jump away and you're in a position to kind of get away. So if they can spot you going up elbow and their soldiers are pretty healthy, I'd probably avoid walking up and just do like a 27 or something. And their med lived, I think. I guess they're letting you guys get it. You want to make sure you can cut him off. You can worry that the scout, that even if he got damaged, he can be the guy that worries about dealing with him. Might as well take the pill bottle and just walk this out, because you knew exactly when this was picked up. The scout just picked it up as you came in, so might as well be 140 heading towards this pill bottle and take it. But yeah, if you're ever peeking big door like that or peeking for a pick, even if someone's weak behind you, the medic can just tank them, and you're just in charge of making sure they can't get away. So if he would have backed up there, just pop him up. Now you need to leave your medic because they're going behind you, and you can jump and force them and your team won't have to use it too. Like, this isn't helping anyone, having your medic come around like this. They're already getting on the point, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves even though they Ubered. They don't really need to. You don't need to do anything here. Just let everyone push up. This is a situation where you probably benefit from not having a soldier go forward, just because you're taking a whole lot of damage and you're a really big heal sink, whereas the other classes are much more leaner and able to dodge a bit better. And since there's not going to be a whole lot of pressure ahead, you're really just more concerned about who's getting, like, what's going to get you guys the most aggregate health pushing through a choke like that. So in taking kind of mid with you capping second, you're kind of set up for that natural progression where you're going to be 300 by the time you get to mid, and your scouts are still buffed because they were pushing into mid, so you're automatically pretty much ready for 2 after the scouts get a minor rebuff. And then this kind of push, I think it's a little too early and you don't have enough people with you. If your demo's going to die here, you have to get in. Your medic can live, they'll pick someone else up, but your demo dying for free here isn't going to do a whole lot. In this instance where they're coming through choke, I don't know if they have it yet, but you probably still prefer to sack into them. If they don't have it, obviously you guys will want to keep them out, so you'll probably trade there if they don't. And then if they did have it, you'd force them for free and your medic would already be getting out. And that Uber wasn't really worth it. But then again, you should have just kept them on a choke. They shouldn't have been pushing without it. And just make sure the scout doesn't leave. Okay, he's trying to help his team. You want to be up top, not on the point. If you're gonna do anything away from your medic, you might as well cover up top, because I imagine the scout that followed your scout in would probably be going up top, so maybe you could meet them. Well, you definitely meet him there early if he happened to be going there. And you should just worry about lasts right now. Delay them a little bit so your team has an easier time getting in, but this should be an easy last. So you don't want to be going in, because your team's not going to be able to follow up on anything. But just damage them from afar, because their medic just died behind you, so any damage you do now is pretty much unhealable by them unless they're going to go and spawn, and it's pretty easy to take the point after that. So when you respawn, you want to be pushing big door because you guys have advantage now, and if they end up Ubering in, except your med dropped, you want to be able to cut them off as they're trying to back in through shower door, and it's just going to take you longer to get through choke and you won't be close to them, so it's unfortunate. I almost always don't think it's a good idea to hide on this mid because it's really easy to be underneath and get a really clean jump on towards their med. And it's a little more consistent that way because you can't get pre-fired out and just like outplayed because someone figured someone might be there. Like you can obviously tell if that jump wasn't like fucked up a bit, then you would have landed on the med directly and been able to kill him pretty easily. So right now they have advantage. And you guys should look to get on their med. I think he's probably alone. Well, he only has one person at choke. This is fine too, but I would imagine you guys getting stuffed a bit earlier than this. Yeah, their demo just didn't just go over there for some reason. But yeah, probably like number one concern there was getting their med down so you won't keep this leapfrog going up. So, I thought there would have been stickies there, and I thought a couple people would have died, so that's good. You shouldn't be going choke, it's just really slow getting back to your team. The roamer doesn't need to take this bottle because, you know, he's only going to take a little bit of damage rocket jumping around, so he could even just take the bottles in river and he'd be pretty comfortable before going for a buff, so you don't have to save packs for him. Only in situations where you're actively going to be fighting whatever, give up a pack for a roamer, just so, because its health is worth a little bit more than yours. Especially if it's higher. Right now you need to make sure you're full. Like you can't fire a rocket and then shotgun like that. You want to make sure you have full rockets for that fight, because you're already winning after you push them in a spawn and they don't quite have the oobs yet. So you really weren't in a rush to get a bunch of kills there. just keeping them out and controlling the last would probably have been better there. And obviously if you took a bit more people that do Uber since you had advantage, it'd be a bit better. So now they have Uber and you're probably looking to force them. Since you're at 300 and a bit ahead of your roamer, I'd probably say that's your job right now. At the very least, you probably could have picked that demo because he's a bit extended and your scout's going to do that right now. That's unfortunate that you didn't get that guy. At this point, you're just kiting right now. Because if they push through choke, you aren't going to be able to get anywhere anyway. They used through choke. You guys should have been on 2 a bit earlier, so that's why this is not going that well. And probably should have delayed them a bit more at choke. Lucky that your med's going to live if he does live. But now you guys have like a 40% advantage. And their pocket's dead. Your med needs to get up with you a bit. You need to pre-fire that when you're approaching the corner. You can't afford to peek them. You have to make sure your peek is really safe. So pre-fire that, start reloading, and halfway through reload maybe you peek it. But you can't afford to let this kind of thing happen when you're already up a couple kills recently. Obviously you're even in the general perspective because I think a couple people died during that kite. But your advantage kill wise, as soon as you get your spawns and you have a big Uber advantage, you can't afford to let your med die. So as soon as your med's out, you just need to worry about you living, so probably would have jumped to big door or up top. Probably the best option there. Just gonna wait for you to spawn. I doubt your team's gonna do anything until you're out. So at this point your advantage is pretty shit. If anything, I just sack someone in because you maybe have 20-10 and they won't be able to push off of that pick being this far back and just about to get Uber. So that's kind of what I would do with low advantages, pushing out of difficult points. Just because you don't want to waste your advantage, but you can't really fully commit with that. So at this point, since your roamer just got a buff, he's looking to jump out. So anything you can do in aiding him, just spotting these guys out and probably do a 27 hop towards them just to kind of give them some false confidence by getting some easy damage or pushing them around onto the floor so your roamer can get in. Because right now this Uber, it's not going to do anything. If you Uber right now, it's just going to be a stalemate. You're lucky that this guy jumped. Unfortunate that you didn't kill him, but he was a pretty easy kill. So like they shouldn't have let you kind of exist in this area. It's really easy to spam into there. I think they are just being a bit lazy in that regard. So you don't really want to be pushing this because it's even. You don't really want to be not near choke. Even if you're close enough at choke, you have a sight line to spot them as their med drops, and you and your entire team can get there before they're really able to push effectively. And you'll just force them as they come through this door. So there's no point in not being at choke. It's just the better of all the options, especially since if you happen to miss them coming big door and your team survives, it's really easy to push into mid and just kind of get some free damage on the people that are holding choke, and then play safe and let your other players get Ubered as you Uber fight on 2 and just keep them out from mid, and then eventually you'll either push them back, likely get some kills, or just have a 4v6 or a 6v4 at 2. So this is like, it's not a bad idea, but they saw you coming, so I don't know why they would die there. Like that kind of aggression works if you happen to have like the perfect first couple of rockets. They just stayed, so it didn't matter that you didn't hit some really good rockets at the beginning. You're still gonna kill them all. And that was kind of unfortunate. That scout kind of came out of nowhere and didn't really know how long the med was Ubered for, so can't fault you on that. But you guys should be taking last. You could come up heavy if you were kind of dick, and that would be pretty good. See, again, you're going choke, and this is a slow way. And then you skip that health pack, which is slow too. It doesn't really matter, but you just want to get in as soon as possible to minimize any advantage they'll have if you end up failing the push. And like, I don't like going shutter door pretty much ever. I mean, it's probably the best if you have some kind of number advantage and it's even Ubers, just because it's easy to control the situation. But with such a big advantage like this, you probably want to be kind of jumping everyone through river. In this situation when they're backing up like this so early, just kind of play on the point and kill the heavy. And just have scouts following behind and the demo kind of stick you off. And that way your heals are perfect, like as long as your med Ubers properly. The follow-up Uber is going to be really good because everyone's was within range to get healed during the Uber, and was healed before the Uber, and is within range to get healed after the Uber. So pushes like that make a bit more sense rather than separating like this when you already have a big ass advantage. Again, you're not going to do anything with that shotgun, so just make sure you load your rockets. Shotgun at that range, when they're not being damaged by anyone else, is just, they're not going to die, so there's no point. But yeah, you guys should pick this up. And there's one round left. Looks like it goes to you guys. See, again, you know, that was even a low jump like I was talking about earlier, but it doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. So you end up going drop down anyway. So you can just open up a lot more possibilities for your mid by going underneath to begin with, because there's pretty much infinite ways to jump at them from there. And in this situation when you still only go drop down, it's pretty much strictly better than what you did there, so. So I think your med lived and you obviously got theirs or assisted in getting theirs, so you guys should be looking to push into 2, probably through choke, just because you already have this big advantage and you're not looking to lose anyone. So as long as you take choke carefully, clear up top, and then the hiding spot way above that where you're clipping on something that isn't there, behind rock, and just make sure you can take balcony before your med kind of pushes in, and as long as he's baiting the heal beam a bit, you guys are getting in without using, and you can save this advantage for last. But right here you're probably going to have to use, because I would expect them to either be already spotting you if they were playing properly at choke, just that sightline thing I was talking about, or far enough back that they're just going to have a sticky trap here at that force door. But they're playing really poorly, so you're going to end up getting... Yeah, just focus on these guys. The people that are trapped off from their team are pretty much going to die. You don't really need to worry about a whole much else. Like, you should have just jumped those guys up there, traded some damage while you're still Ubered, and then fell down. That way they couldn't get in after the Uber. So this should be an easy last. I think there's only one person up, if any. And yeah. Good games. Just work on your mids a little bit. Don't need to be jumping up early unless you're taking position and then you're planning on jumping a bit earlier. So in that case, as a precursor, your team would have to be up there earlier. Just like make sure if your demo is going absolutely as fast as you can to the top right, if their demo's not there, then you can kind of have the luxury of doing that. But if their demo gets up there early, and if you jump too far, you're gonna get punished for doing that. So I generally just wouldn't jump top.